Hello everyone, welcome to Basically Neda. I'm Neda and this is my review of The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. So The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson was the fourth book of the Secret Project for 2023. And I ended up getting it as the third one to read instead of the fourth one to read, just the way Libby works out. This one, The Sunlit Man, is officially for the fans, and Brandon Sanderson wanted to write something for the fans to acknowledge them and thank them for all the supports that he has gotten. And yeah, basically, this is very much a fan book. I'm just gonna go into the summary of the description that is on Goodreads. Just so you know, this video does not have any spoilers. If you want spoilers, there are other booktubers who are doing spoilers. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers in this one. And if you haven't read any of the other books, you probably wouldn't understand anyways, but I'm not going to do any spoilers in this one. So, the description of this on Goodreads is about a man who calls himself Nomad, and he goes to different worlds in the Cosmere, hopping from world to world, running away from the Night Bridge. And this story starts when he lands on one of the worlds, and he gets stuck in and caught up into the situation where there is a tyrant and there are rebels, and he's trying to work with the rebels. I'm not going to go into any more, but just from that description, you all understood that this is from a specific series, right? So, without going so far as like spoiling it, if you haven't read the Stormlight Archives, you might want to go and read those before you read The Sunlit Man, because a lot of the information that is in The Sunlit Man is from the Stormlight Archive, especially from the first two books. So I would recommend, if you want to pick up The Sunlit Man, to read the first two books, The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. So if you don't read those, then you're going to be very lost, because in this book there is no explanation of any of the things that are happening, and they refer to people and places and weapons that are very much in that world. You will be very lost if you haven't read those. And this was, it is filled with war and mystery, and it's just more military as well. So if you don't like those kind of things, don't read it. I felt like this was more sci-fi than fantasy, just because we already knew about the fantasy elements and he doesn't explain any of it. So it just like goes into a lot of explanation of what the warfare is happening in that world that Nomad is, and where the story is going. This was a typical Sanderson book, but it just didn't deliver for me. Like, I normally, if it's a normal, typical Stormlight Archive, there's a payoff at the end. Like, this story goes on. There are side characters, but then you already are going to get that satisfying ending. For me, it wasn't like that. I just didn't feel like this did the job. I just felt like this was very neutral for me. Yeah, there's side characters, but then it's very short. Yes, it's a smaller book, but I feel like he could have cut off on all the side characters. There's too many. I feel the same way for Trez and Frugal Wizard. I just think Brandon Sanderson's way of writing doesn't work in a very short book. Like, it used to work, now it just doesn't anymore, because I've read some of the earlier novellas, like The Empress King. Oh, I forgot what it is. But yet, I've read his earlier novellas, and they were kind of cute, cozy, those kind of things. But now it's just, I don't think he's doing what he was doing for those. He's trying to do the same thing as he does for, like, Stormlight Archive and Mistborn and those kind of things into a smaller book, which doesn't work. It's just his style of writing is for the bigger books, and those other novellas that he's done before, like earlier novellas, they were way better than these short books. It's just my opinion. I'm very neutral for the Sunlit Man. I'm waiting for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter to come on Libby for me. There's a 7-week hold on it. Like, okay, I put all of my holds in November. So Tress came in, I read it, I think it's December or late November. And then Frugal Wizard came in February, I think. And then this one came in March. The Sunlit Man came in March. We'll see if I get Yumi and the Nightmare Painter in April, but I'm pretty sure it will come in May, at the end of May or something like that. And then I'm planning on doing a video on how I feel about all 4 of them. So we'll see what happens. And I also had another book that I read this week, but I didn't fully read it because I DNFed it. I picked up Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham, and the premise of it was very interesting. That's why I picked it up, but it was also one of my 10 books to start in, like 10 series to start in 2024. But it's just not for me. It felt like a coming of age book more than like a fantasy murder book. So it was just okay. So the premise of this book is that, like, this girl, Elise, who is a petty theft girl who lives in the slums of Cuthamore. She is basically moving around, doing her own thing, and then her brother is murdered. So she decides to go and find out who murdered her brother. And then while she's doing that, she's finding out more about what her brother was doing and who he was. And then she finds something that will change the whole society or something like that. And then I just didn't vibe with the writing. The writing just wasn't for me. I should have known because I didn't like this expense either. So I don't know why I picked it up. I was like, oh, this might be better than the expense. No, I just, Daniel Abraham is not for me. Like, his writing is just not for me. It's just the way that he's writing. Like, okay, so in Age of Ash, the first chapter is as long as 10% of the book. It was really long. That's when I DNF'd it. It's just too long. Why did you need to do that? Like, you could have made it into different, like, why do you need almost 60 pages for the first chapter? That was just too much. Also, the way that he's writing is like, he's putting in adult ways into like the kids talking, and it just doesn't work for me. They're teenagers. They wouldn't talk like the way they do, but I guess they would. I don't know. It's a made up world with the made up society, so I guess they would. It's just not for me. So I DNF'd it. And yeah, so as I said, Age of Ash was in my 10 series to start in 2024. That was the last one that I was gonna try and then see what happens. So I have now read the first book of all of the 10 series. So I'm going to probably do an update video on how I feel and which books I would like to continue with. And it should come out soon. I don't know when. Probably either this week that's coming up or the next week before my wrap up of March. So we shall see. And yeah, that was my review of Sunlit Man and all the other stuff that came for this week. This week has been a bit of what do you call it? Very eventful. So there's a lot that had been going on also, right? So I guess I will see you guys in the next video. And if you like this video, please press the like button. If you are kind enough to subscribe, please subscribe and all that stuff, right? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to do the YouTuber thing, and I'm really bad at it. I'm sorry. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.